Cosmopolitanism. This is a big word, and we need to understand what it means. Not only the definition of cosmo, world, politics, citizen, or citizen of the world, but also we need to understand what cosmopolitanism is in terms of the American system right now. And look, I'm using American as it is used in the United States. And the image that begins this message says, "Dear racists in America or in the United States, your car is Japanese, your beer is German, and you continue with this." Yeah. So the idea is that you have things from other countries, that your electronics are Taiwanese, your fashion is French, your oil is from Saudi Arabia, your vodka is Russian, and it ends with, and never forget that the land you live on is Native American. But this is really something that is not happening in the United States. Although you may seem that the United States is a very attractive country, that you go to New York, for example, and you will see women with high heels and men with that look like movie stars, etc. But that's not really what happens if you live in the cities. Every city has issues. So we've been talking about racism in the United States, something that happened a long time ago, that slavery happened a long time ago, and still, it continues to happen. And this is not something that is going to go away soon. So what can we do? What can we learn from this? The idea that police brutality happens against black people mostly is that it's happening. It's not something that people are making stuff up. And of course, people who live in the inner cities or in the ghettos, as some people say, are uh, poor and disadvantaged Americans. What does that mean? That means that they didn't have the opportunities that everybody else has had. The ideals, the American ideals of equality, is something that might not happen to everyone. So, so what is it then that what does it mean to be equal if it's not going to be happening to everyone? And if you talk to people, your relatives in the United States, a lot of people have discriminatory statements about black people. And you may hear, ah, es que los morenos hacen esto, que los negros son malos, que los negros son arrogantes, los negros son borrachos. And in some cases, it might be true. But what is it really? What has the country done? What has the United States done to help these people? Okay, so let's suppose that you were a slave, and then slavery ends. Okay, now you're free to go. All right, sure, yeah, you're free to go, but with what? You have no money, you have no possessions, you have no land. Then many slaves decided to remain with their masters, right? And remember that we're using these terms daily because enslaved people did not want to continue to be enslaved, but they had nothing else to do. So years later, uh, flash forward to right now, a lot of these people have nothing. So it's not, we can't just see what's happening right now, but we also need to see what has been happening. And of course, if you have the ideals of the United States, democracy, opportunity, that's what people say, the land of opportunity and equality, rights, liberty. Um, and you may also have relatives or friends maybe in the United States that say, I'm gonna go to the United States, I'm gonna work for 5 years, and then I'm coming back. That never happens because the society there absorbs you in such a way that you end up, well, you have to pay for your house, you have to pay for your car, you get debt here and there, and in the end, and you're sending money to your relatives here. And how are you going to be able to achieve all this? Some may say, yeah, but that's better than being in El Salvador. Maybe, maybe, but to the expense of what? No, racism is a latent issue in the United States. And although we're talking about cosmopolitanism, the idea that we're all the same, or that we should all be the same, living in the same world, that the only thing that defines us is not the color of our skin or the language that we speak, but our humanity. But, however, human beings are not that way. You know, we'll always find something that will divide us. If it's not race, if it's not language, then it would be the amount of money that you have. Then it would be the car that you drive. That's how we're going to be differentiating people. The city in which you live. So the the ideals, the American dream, uh, it's for some it's a fallacy. It's something that could happen, and it hasn't happened yet. You can say that we also in El Salvador we have the Salvadoran dream for Hondurans and for Nicaraguans that come to work in the eastern part of the country, and we're also guilty of not embracing this, of not making cities in El Salvador as cosmopolitan as we think uh, it should be. So the idea of cosmopolitanism is that we all are the same, or that we should be the same, but we need to be given the opportunities to achieve that status. In previous occasions, we talked about McDonald's and how much a meal costs in Guatemala and how much a meal costs in the United States or in South Africa. So it will be like a standard price, sure, but the amount of money people make is huge. There's a huge difference. If people are making $10 an hour in the United States, they make $10 an hour, $10 a day in El Salvador. So the the idea of becoming a city, or what cosmopolitan cities are, uh, might differ on your perception, on your appreciation of equality, on your appreciation of justice in the world. For something to be cosmopolitan, besides the social issues that we've been talking about, it needs to be a large city. San Salvador is a large city, yes, of course, with a diverse culture. I don't think we are diverse. We see a black person walking on the street, everybody turns heads. We see Chinese people. So that is something that we still need as a society need to uh, to achieve. Or if we see somebody who's blonde, we think many of us think of these people, these white blonde people, as superior, and that is something that has been engraved in our minds, has been drilled that you need to mejorar la raza, right? You need to improve the race. You need to find somebody who's better, who's whiter, lighter than you. But why? In a cosmopolitan city, that's something that is diluted. And so, if we had different ethnic neighborhoods, of course, we know that there are some Chinese families, some Palestinian families, some Israeli families, some Turkish families, but those are not. Those are very limited numbers. Uh, but we don't have any strong unifying culture. We don't have uh, what in sociology is called superculture or subculture or alter culture. We don't have any of that. We are very homogeneous and sometimes very jealous of what we are, of who we are, and pupusas is the best food ever. Yeah, because you haven't tried hummus, for example, or because you haven't tried typical food from Jalisco in Mexico. So all of this will, if we start thinking, reshaping our ideas of cosmopolitanism, we may someday have a cosmopolitan city in our country. Right now, as I see it, we are not there, and we still have a lot of work to do. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again next week.